maybe I think, and I'm sure you've talked about this before, but I think it's fascinating. Reality TV has changed a lot, which I know you could talk about having, and we'll get to kind of the Hills Redux and all that stuff. But like, if you were summing up the reality TV experience now, 15 years later, 13 years later, how long ever it's been, I mean, what do you tell people? Like, what's the true reality of reality TV?
The true reality is it's always entertainment. So you're always going to have a team that's kind of doing a story arc. I think in the beginning it was more real, although I'm sure there are still editors and producers. If you look at the credits, there's a really big team doing it. They're not just going to film a bunch of people and be like, great. I think with even Jersey Shore, it's more of a formula. So they let them go, but then they have kind of structure like, oh, let's make them show up here. Let's have them live at this house. So it depends on each show too. A lot of shows that I've been part of, every show just needs drama,
Yeah.
and so what I've experienced is a lot of scriptedness and story outlines. And season 1 of The Hills reboot, The New Beginnings, was the most real I ever experienced of The Hills. So there was a great story producer, and she was like, I'm just following the truth and really pushed for the truth. And that was a really great experience. Season 2, which we recently did, was kind of the opposite of the new showrunner that came in, and she wanted more of her story arcs and kind of manipulating things more. And that was a little bit more frustrating, especially because I just had such a good experience the season before. So yeah, it's just different, and it's hard to tell. And that's why I love watching reality TV. I'm like, what is real? What is not? What are they pushing? But I do think like a lot of the housewives, obviously they want to get more money and they want the higher storyline and they want to be a reoccurring cast member. So they probably push their own limits and kind of are an amplified version of themselves. But again, I think it just really depends on each show and each person.
Would you, like, looking back, do you regret doing it, or would you do? I'm sure there's things and moments. This isn't like how many moments would you do differently? And it's not that question. It's more of, for somebody listening that knows about it, like, would you do this? Would you do the show again? Like, would you do reality TV again? Would you change that?
I love reality TV. I love being a part of it. I love watching it. I have learned so much. When you have to negotiate with 10 adults around you and you're 20 years old, that life experience is incredible. I mean, having to negotiate with lawyers and really high stake people and high IQ people trying to manipulate you. I mean, I just feel like it made me such a savvier, smarter person also. So the experience, I absolutely appreciate. The only thing I wish I had done differently, and still I have a hard problem with, is saving money. So I think that's a struggle for me because I do love fancy things and I do love shoes and purses and bling and, going out to eat and just finding that balance of saving some of the money. So I think that's really where my only regret lies.
Well, you and Spencer were ahead of your time, I think, and you even admitted, manipulating the paparazzi and I, being a marketing guy. I mean, I have T-shirts literally that say "Attention is currency, attention is money," and you and Spencer were, I think, ahead of your time a bit with understanding that principle. Maybe you weren't the best savers in the world, which you just admit, but I think you were ahead of your time with recognizing that with attention comes leverage, and I think you guys, I think, took advantage of that. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a time when we were on USA Today's most powerful couples, top 3. It was like us, Brangelina, and Tomcat. So we definitely were. And then the Kardashians were behind us, and they took a lot of our antics. And even Courtney would ask my sister about her and Scott and what they should do and what Kim should do. So they completely took our mold that we created. And because they have Chris and they also had Comcast behind them, they were able to become 100 millionaires. So that's where we thought it was coming, because we were more famous than them. We did have attention as currency. We did use that in the media and have those relationships with them. So in a different world, we were going to be the Kardashians. It's just hard when you have a cast that doesn't play ball, doesn't get it, isn't as entertaining as well. And that's kind of what we've always been against. You need a team like the Kardashians. They have the whole family. This person has this going on. This person has that. Even Jersey Shore they're all superheroes. They're all great within their own realm. They're not trying to put each other down. They're not jealous of this person getting that. Like, we've always had the worst cast that nobody ever wanted to be a team. And if we all had teamed up, we would be 100 times more successful all together. But ego is a very hard thing, and you can only get so far by yourself if you don't have a Comcast or someone backing you.
Where would you put like Vanderpump in that realm? I mean, they've hung around for a long time. Where would you kind of slot them in that, I don't know, judgment of longevity?
They did a really good job. I remember when they first came up and I was like, Vanderpump. But I didn't get it either because we were on the hills and I just thought, that it was so much bigger. But they did a really good job of sticking together, of all bringing it. They each bring their storyline. I think this season is a lot harder because they've lost a lot of their originals, and that I think loses part of the audience. So that's tricky. And I think that's kind of dwindling and on their way out at this point. I mean, time will only tell, but I think it might have, run its course at this point. But I think they're all great. And if I were, ideally they'd all come back, they all the originals could come back and bring it. Stassi came back so many years later and revamped the whole thing. Yeah. So one person can make a huge difference.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, check out one of these other clips for all the latest tips and insights. We'll see you next time.